Einstein, Franklin, Tesla, Edison, Newton, Carver. Names synonymous in the human mind with invention, ingenuity, creativity, progress, and science. The shoulders of the giants we stand on today to see and enjoy what they never could. However, most Americans still don't understand them and worship them almost as gods, often celebrating them for wrong mythical reasons. In the American psyche, there are very real dangers concerning the confusion between science, engineering, and invention. The fact that anyone can be an inventor makes people believe that anyone can have an opinion or belief about science that the majority of scientists do not agree on. This is the very danger of scientific or inventive deities. They will say something that was true for their time, and then people will grasp onto it and go overboard in the other extreme because some smart scientist said it. Many times they're also quoted about things they didn't actually have expertise in, and were just plain wrong about, but because they were great in one field, they must have been right about another. Other than Einstein and maybe Newton, most inventors were just the first in a large group of contenders trying to figure out the invention. No one remembers second-place people, so quite often these gods of invention and science are viewed as if they pulled their ideas out of nowhere. 3 other people besides Darwin were independently developing a theory of natural selection. Darwin just published first and took all the kickback and heat from the religious communities. Einstein said that creativity was more important than knowledge. During his time, people were very rigid in their thinking. What he said had a huge impact on generations to come about the importance of creativity. Sadly, many use the phrase to completely throw out the importance of knowledge and understanding of how evidence works. You need creativity and knowledge and ethics, evidence and hard work, and all are equally important. If you just have knowledge, you'll follow a rigid way of regurgitating facts and never make any changes. If you just have ethics, you will just be a nice person who never does anything. If you're just creative without evidence, you will end up being an extreme postmodernist where anything that sounds logical must be right and everyone's opinions are equal. If you're creative without knowledge, you'll limit your horizon you can use your creativity on, like only knowing about black and white, and while you can still make some very creative art, you are seriously limited if you are unaware of color. If you have all these things and not hard work, nothing will get done, and you'll just enjoy navel-gazing. Anyone can be an inventor without any education. You just need creativity to take existing technology, combine it, and repurpose it for another use. The more eyes looking at things, the more inventions are made, which is why our patent office is overloaded. However, to be a scientist or engineer, you need a certain level of training and understanding, especially to learn how to trust and read data and be skeptical of your own findings. Engineers, of course, then take what science finds and inventors invents and converts it into useful and safe things for the average person, often taking out the rough edges or shrinking inventions of others with better materials, parts, or configuration using science and math for maximum output. However, the narrative in America confuses scientists and inventors, and it has created entire classes of science denialists because the average Joe on the street thinks their opinion on evolution or climate change is equally valid. This technique has especially been promoted by the carbon-invested industries. They did the same thing with the safety of lead and fuel and smoking with the exact same PR firms. This has created a Dunning-Kruger effect in the populace, where the most educated have uncertainty while the least educated are dead certain. The knowledgeable elites are denigrated in the populace, and they are the target of conspiracy theories galore. This ensures the most angry and loudest and least likely to compromise often wins in elections these days, as opposed to experts in their fields. It ensures that real evidence-based change is dragged out until a long series of major tragedies occur, and even then it's uncertain if anything will get done. We know income inequality is the greatest spreader of disease, and just like in the 20s and 30s with polio, we're having new rises of diseases we in the US used to have no fear of, such as Ebola, chikungunya, and antibiotic-resistant bacteria. We know vaccines don't cause autism and they save lives. We know the planet is warming at a rapid rate unseen in millions of years, but because people think anyone who can look at stuff on the internet and make their own conclusions about science, these problems will continue until things reach a tipping point where the evidence of these horrors are so evident and touch the lives of enough people. But unfortunately by then it will be too late for many. Galileo, Einstein, and others are pointed to as people who were laughed at or persecuted for changing the way the world thought about things, but in the end turned out to be right. However, what they fail to get from history is that the reason these people were right is because they had evidence. Tons and tons of boring, methodical evidence. You never hear about all the other people who were laughed at and called crazy, who didn't change human thought, although there were way more than the ones that succeeded. Why? Insufficient evidence. The history of science is great to learn from, but if you get a quick bird's eye view, you'll often get a terrible understanding of the process they used to change humanity. Something you can do in your specific field if you decide to spend your life in science. But as a non-scientist, your chances of an idea that you have about science being correct because you read stuff on the internet is almost assuredly going to be wrong.